The experience on India as well as Kerala on managing migration or mainstreaming migration. Let me start with that. I am coming from India, and India currently has 12 million immigrants who are still holding Indian passport. We don't talk about diasporas because they don't send money, and I don't think it's true with the Kerala. So they may be funding something, not really funding development. So we have 12 million people from India working abroad, still holding Indian passport. Out of that, if you look at it very carefully, 6 million people are in 6 countries in the Gulf. That means like Sri Lanka, like Bangladesh, like Pakistan, India also going to Gulf. That's why sometimes we feel sitting in Kerala, I have more flights to Gulf than flights to India. Because people are traveling. The Gulf is connected more than Kerala is connected to India. And then the remaining 6 million people are living in 192 countries. So you have to imagine how we can diversify the market. I think that's what I'm going to tell you more on this particular aspect. And this is an Indian perspective, but if you look at the context from where I am coming from a state, Kerala, which is not very far, just 30 minutes by flight, and it's almost like Sri Lanka. We have almost the same characteristics: high literacy rate, high human development, slowly aging population. All are almost similar characteristics. We have 32 million people, and our current stock of immigrants are 2.2 million, which is much higher than what Secretary said. 2.2 million Keralites are now working outside the country. And as long as Kerala is not a country, we don't get remittances estimates. So I tell the World Bank, if you put our estimate, then it will be much higher than Sri Lankan estimates. So we have estimated for Kerala, it is close to 50,000 crores of Indian rupees, which is equivalent to 35% of the Kerala state income. You talked about 9%. So I am coming from a state where the 35% of the Kerala, it's equivalent to the remittances. And already you are hearing that one person who is working in the Gulf supporting 4 people in respective places, their spouses, their parents, and at least their 2 children, if we talk about. And in Kerala context, which is also true in your context, 1/4 of our economy is directly or indirectly managed by migration. I think this is something we have to carry through in our understanding on how to expand markets. And with all these things, still migrants are invisible in our policy making. This is a very, very sad fact, both in India, both in Kerala, and probably in Sri Lanka too. They are invisible. We used to talk about earlier invisible work of women. I think we have to now talk about invisible work of workers, especially the immigrant workers, except we talk about them, about remittances, nothing more. In fact, if you look at it carefully, the migrants, when I go to the Gulf, when I go to the worker camps and see them, the migrants today are like candles. They give light, but they die in the process. They sacrifice for their families, the society, the economy, but we just don't care for them, including their family members. We have stories on the social cost of migration. I think this is the context we have to discuss. How do you want to expand your market? That is very important, which I was supposed to speak. And if you look at it, I would like to elaborate 3 to 4 questions for Sri Lankan context. Basically on articulating the migration policies, because that is something very, very important if you really want to expand your market. What is the policy of Sri Lanka on migration? Are you promoting migration vigorously, or like India, are you only facilitating migration? If you are promoting your policies, your expansion has to change. You are only facilitating, which India always does, facilitating legal, safe, and orderly migration. This is the migration policy of India, which is being currently written for the country. So if you talk to Indian government, they say, we are not promoting. If they want to go, let them go. It's a private choice. And if Sri Lanka is a position like countries like sometimes Philippines, they also put in their planning process, we want to send this many people to this many countries. Like, of course, I heard from the secretary, you have put remittances projections. You want to have 10 billion by 2015. But do you have some number? We would like to place these many people outside foreign employment. If you have a number, then really you are promoting migration. If you are promoting migration, what you would like to do? The first thing, if you look at that, we had discussion in our country several times with the ministries. In Kerala, we have a NARCA minister. We have to include them in the planning process, which we are not doing. We are always talking about, like, I think someone rightly said here, I think you rightly said, we are producing 200 nurses or something like that. So we are not planning in our process to include people who will go out for employment. For example, look at Kerala. We have 80,000 nurses are produced. We don't need that many nurses. That's why they are stranded in Iraq. We are bringing them. They go. Of course they go. They get more money, whatever the reasons. But we are generating more nurses. You find any places today, you find Kerala nurses. You find any places today, you find Kerala nurses. It is not produced for us. So you have to put in your planning. That's why we told this government, current government in Kerala, you should not have a NARCA minister. Because NARCA minister, what he will do? So you have to have a minister for planning, which you have already. He should look after the ministry of NARCA. So this last 3 years, we have a minister for planning who handles the foreign affairs, migration. That means he understands, because he is planning, because you are planning for the people, planning for your state, planning for the country, and you put the foreign employment in your process of planning. That is something which one has to start talking about that, because you have to mainstream them into the planning process. For example, we have, in fact, we have Kerala Economic Review, which runs into 1,200 pages. And in that you will have 3 pages about migration. I don't know, you may have Sri Lankan Economic Review, maybe a small chapter with nothing but the trends and remittances. Nothing more. But they deserve more than what we give them in our policy space. I think this is very, very important based on what we see in our country. I think it is true for your country too. The next thing is that Sri Lanka also is not a young country like we talk about India now. It is an aging society, which I know, because as a demographer we know the fertility in Sri Lanka is very low. It is like Kerala. And in fact, Kerala, we send 2 million people outside Kerala. We get 1 million people coming into Kerala from all the states. So we have what you call them in Kerala called replacement migration. I think that might be happening in Sri Lanka too. There are jobs, people are coming from other countries. You might have immigration too. I think we should look at it. That is also very, you cannot talk in one side story, because we are talking about immigration. We should also talk about immigration. Sometimes our minister says in Delhi, look, I am for immigration. Immigration, you go to the external affairs minister. You go to the home affairs minister. But the current government said there is only one minister for both. So now in India, the current BJP government, you have only one minister, Minister of External Affairs, who handles the migration. That is no confusion. It's not. It's like a two sides of the coin. Immigration and immigration is both of the thing. And if you want to increase migration from Sri Lanka in numbers, you are going to fail. Quantity is not going to happen, because you have not enough people coming in, because your fertility rate is already very low. In fact, in Kerala, I am part of a committee to close 5,000 primary schools. No children in schools. I went to visit a school in Kerala. There are 4 teachers and only 1 student. Because all parents have only 1 child, they want to put them in pest school. And the pest school are not sometimes government school. Like you rightly said, the non-resident Sri Lankans want to put their children in better school. So the schools are being closed. And that means you are already decline in children. So you cannot think of increasing migration. So you have to talk about converting from quantity to quality. I think this is something Sri Lanka has to do if you want to be figured out as an important country of migrants. Otherwise you will lose. Things are coming up. There are many countries are picking up. In fact, Kerala is losing, whereas Uttar Pradesh is picking up in our own country. So Kerala is almost in the losing front. That is why the Etihad Airways told me we have 4 flights to Lucknow. Because Lucknow is the place now things are happening. UP have a large chunk of labor force. They can supply to, not just to Kerala, they can supply to other countries. So I think we have to look at, in Sri Lankan context, move from number game to quality. For example, take an example. If you send 10 housemaids, assuming she sent $300, so you are getting $3,000 from 10 housemaids. If you have a high-skilled migrant, one person can send you. This is what the strategy of the Kerala government today now. Because we can't increase. No chance. We have no people to send. I'm sorry, they say, look, but we can increase the quality. Skill upgradation. Specializing in nursing, specializing in engineering. You have to pick up sectors which you are comfortable. Don't pick up sector which is comfortable for others. You should pick up the sector. I think this is something we have to talk about because you have scarcity of labor in your own country. I think some sectors probably you will be seeing it. We see in our own state in Kerala. So you have some sectors, there are scarcity in my own state. So how do I send people? I think this is something very, very important. Sri Lanka has to look at it. And another thing we should talk about now, I think we should slowly move away from this oil-rich economy to aging economies. I think time has come for a state like Sri Lanka to talk about it. Why do you want to send all time talk about Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia don't want you. Please look at Nitakat. Our minister has to run and tell them that please hold 3 more months. I told it is terrible. So we have to look for new economies. Not the oil-rich money economies. You should look at the aging economies. And you are sending today housemaid to Saudi Arabia. You can just modify their qualification. You can send them home care nurses to Europe to look after an old person. I think you have to make slight changes. I think we have to open our mindset. Every time we talk about Qatar, let Qatar go to hell. We should change our mindset to move from this Gulf because we are sending from 1970s onward. We are some type of addict to this Gulf. I am telling them in Kerala, addict. We are addict to them. Every time we say, where are you going? Qatar, Gulf. I think the mindset should change from the young people. We have to convert ourselves from sending our people from oil-rich economies to aging economies. You have to slightly change your skills. Not much. Housemates become home nurse. Maybe a 3 months training and she will earn much more. You don't need to worry about, violence against them. You don't need to worry about several problems we are talking about, which all can be. I think this is where we have to look at long time. If you want to do that, I think we have to explore the market from oil-rich economies to aging societies. I think for that, you have to set up. India has just started up. I don't know, some of you might have heard about that. India started a big skill training initiative with crores of money. Because they said if you give them skill training, they can be useful for us also. No need to worry about only sending people. And they started up in healthcare, hospitality and automotives. Because we need also home care. Because we need in our own state to look after old people. We need care. We need home-based workers in our own state. Forget about sending to Italy or France. We need. And that might be happening in your own state. Old people living alone, nobody to take care of them. Children might be in abroad, ready to send money. I have seen several families in some pockets in Kerala. So I think we should look at it. And the main motive of the skill training initiative is very simple. Standardized curriculum, which is very important. Testing, certification, and institutional arrangement for global recognition. If you say you are a home nurse worker, which is have a certificate, you can go to any countries in the world. I think this is something we should talk about that. Skill training initiative. I think Sri Lanka can talk about that. And you have to do small things and it will have not 10 billion. You will end up in 20 billion in next 4 years. You are talking about 10 billion. Because you have to make, and this, you can send more women. And in fact, I know that I'm looking at your data for several years. You have brought down the women migration. Because you said with domestic worker, there are other problems. I know that. If you talk about home nurses, home care worker for elderly, care worker, just to give the tablet, looking after them, go to the bathroom, small things. And you get extra money. And anyway, euro is stronger than your UAE currency anyway, if you look at it. So I think we should talk about that. The last point which I also want to talk about, which is something happening in India, probably some of you might know, and you also know in your own country, you sign bilateral agreements. And there are several agreements we are running, and one is we talk about bilateral cooperation for protection and welfare of immigrants. Only we talk about welfare. There is no promoting migration coming there, only welfare. And then we have in India, we have social security agreements. People go and work in Europe for 3 years. They contribute to social security, but they never get anything. And so India has already signed. So money comes back to India because you work for 4 years. You don't get any pension because you contribute. You should get back. And we have that agreement. Then we have MOU, which is what every time we do. MOU between Libya, MOU between these things. But India has signed one agreement. Some of you should download and look at it. It's called Labor Mobility Partnership. We have signed with only one country, not Gulf, which is with Denmark. Labor Mobility Agreement between two countries. Not like MOU, you just sign and there's a ceremony, everybody clap their hands, the minister comes and goes. No, you have to be serious on Labor Mobility Agreement. And I will read one sentence from there and then I'll stop there. Both states, that means Denmark and India, agrees to cooperate in the fields of vocational training, standardized testing and certification, and measuring skill level in accordance with the job requirement in both countries. In both countries, no one side. Aiming at enhancing labor productivity. If you increase labor productivity, then I think all your remittances, all things will be different. So I think we should talk about sending quality people. Quality people, very, very important. And closing, I just want to have one point, because we always talk about migration. It's actually 3 cycles, migration. Pre-immigration, what happens in the Gulf, and then return back. I think India has recently some program. I think it is good to, it's like some type of experience we call India Community Welfare Fund, which is now operation in 195 countries. Any distressed migrant can get into embassy. And somebody's in the jail, he has to pay some fine. He can collect money from the embassy and pay fine and go back home. I think a new scheme, it has been expanded and we are not looking at it carefully. Something maybe Sri Lanka can look at it so that you have welfare from the other side. I'll stop from here. Thank you very much.